Alright, let's dive into something that's been making waves in the credit card world lately: American Express's new Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let me just say this: the credit card game is always evolving, and Amex's latest move feels like a calculated play in a crowded market. But is it a game changer? Personally, I think it's more of a wait-and-see situation. Here's why. First off, the hook here is simplicity. Amex is pitching this as a no-fuss, 2% cashback card for small businesses. Sounds great, right? But here's the thing: simplicity is everywhere these days. Every issuer is trying to outdo each other with straightforward reward structures. So, what makes this card stand out? Well, for starters, it's the 5% cashback on flights and prepaid hotels booked through Amex Travel. That's a nice kicker, but there's a catch. You have to book through their portal, which, let's be honest, isn't always the most cost-effective way to go. A detail I find fascinating is that TPG's analysis shows flight prices on Amex Travel are often 10% higher than booking directly. So, is that 5% really worth it? In my opinion, it depends entirely on how much you value convenience over cost. Now, let's talk about the annual fee, $2.95. That's not cheap, especially when you compare it to other business cards offering similar cashback rates for less. What many people don't realize is that the value of a card isn't just in its rewards, it's in how those rewards stack up against the cost. And here's where the Graphite Card starts to feel a bit meh. The welcome offer, for instance, requires you to spend $50,000 in 6 months to earn $1,500 cash back. That's a huge ask, especially for smaller businesses. If you take a step back and think about it, this card seems to be targeting businesses with significant spending power, but even then, there are better options out there. One thing that immediately stands out is the lack of flexibility. The rewards are earned as reward dollars, which can only be redeemed as statement credits or used on Amazon. Compare that to cards that offer transferable points, and suddenly the Graphite feels a bit one-dimensional. What this really suggests is that Amex is banking on businesses that prioritize simplicity over versatility. But here's the kicker: in a world where loyalty programs are becoming increasingly complex, is simplicity enough to justify the cost? What makes this really interesting is the card's positioning within Amex's own lineup. They've got cards like the Business Platinum, which offers statement credits and travel perks, and the Blue Business Plus, which has no annual fee. So, where does the Graphite fit? Personally, I think it's trying to carve out a niche for businesses that want cash back without the hassle of points and miles. But even then, it's hard to ignore the fact that competitors like Chase and Capital One offer similar, if not better, value propositions. This raises a deeper question: who is this card actually for? If you're a business owner who's already deep in the Amex ecosystem, maybe it makes sense. Or if you're using their 1AP platform, the potential $2,400 in statement credits could offset the annual fee, but only if you spend $250,000 in a year. That's a massive hurdle. From my perspective, this card feels like it's trying to appeal to a very specific audience, but it's not quite hitting the mark for most businesses. So, where does that leave us? The Graphite Card isn't a bad product by any means, but it's not a standout either. It's a solid 2% cashback card with a few extra perks, but in a market where every issuer is fighting for your attention, solid might not be enough. What many people don't realize is that the credit card game is as much about differentiation as it is about value. And right now, the Graphite feels like it's still searching for its unique selling point. Here's my closing thought: if you're a business owner, don't just settle for simplicity. Ask yourself, what are you really getting for that $295 annual fee? Is it worth it? Or are there better options out there? Personally, I'd take a hard look at the competition before jumping on the Graphite bandwagon. But hey, that's just me. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Is this card a hit or a miss for your business?